Hello, this is the Henna Goddess from York. I'm going to show you how I roll my cones. I've got some cellophane. I like it to be kind of small because I like my cones to be small. I'd rather use lots of small cones than one big cone and save the wastage. Plus I kind of like the little ones to hold better. So I'm going to be rolling some small ones. So you want any type of cello, doesn't really matter. These are maybe 3 by 4 inches. I have a bunch of pins. These are pinboard pins because I like the thickness of the actual pin. You can use sewing pins, but they're a lot finer, so the hole would be a lot smaller, which technically you don't always want because sometimes you can the hole can be too tiny. So I find these pinboard pins are really useful and cheap. So I've got a bunch of those. I've got my sellotape. I'm going to be rolling a cone like this with a pin in the end, and I use a pin in the end so that all of the holes in the bottom, let's see if I can focus, all of the holes in the bottom are the same. So every time I roll a cone, the hole in the bottom is always the same. So it doesn't matter what design you're doing, you know, you're comfortable with the size of hole that you have, and you don't spend the first 5 minutes kind of trying to work your cone out and seeing how much you've snipped off the end if you've rolled the cone closed or anything like that. So once I've filled the cones, I leave the pin in and obviously fill it, seal it, and I put it in the freezer just like that. And I find leaving the pin in helps to keep the hole open here while it's frozen, and also it stops moisture from getting into the cone when it's in the freezer. So it saves your paste from any kind of contamination as well. And then when you defrost and you come to use the cone, you can take it out. Your hole is consistent every single time and you're good to go. If you don't use the whole cone in one evening, put the pin back in and it saves the paste. Put it in the fridge for the next day or the freezer for a practice session. That's pretty much why I use my pins. I'm kind of liking them at the moment. I used to roll the cones closed and just snip the end off. But I was finding that some cones had a really nice fine stream, and other times I've been a bit too kind of generous with the snippers and the hole's been huge, and then there's nothing you can do about that. You have to recone. So I'm kind of liking the pin thing. So I will show you how I roll it. I'll move these and then hopefully you can see. Okay, so I have cello here. I'm going to put the nose of the cone where my left thumb is here. So that's where I put my thumb, if that's where I want the nose. Can I focus? There. And with this bottom left corner, I'm just going to roll it around my right thumb. So here is the tip and here is the open part, and kind of hold the tip slightly with your left thumb while you release your right hand so it doesn't unravel, and just do that continuously until you reach the end. So you have a really loose cone shape here. So if I show you the end, it's untidy and large and not usable. So at this point I get a pin. I'll use a white one, then you can see easier. And put it in the hole, which is easy because the hole is large. Just fall straight in there. It's really loose, so we need to tighten that up to get the consistent hole. So I'm putting my right thumb inside the cone and my middle finger on the outside of the cone just to grip. And then what I'm going to do is twist my fingers like I'm clicking my fingers. And while I'm twisting, I'll pull my thumb back slightly. So I'm twisting and pulling back like this. So that's what I'm going to do, twist and pull back slightly. And when you pull back, focus and I'll show you. There we go. When I pull back with my right thumb, if you watch near the pin, the cello will twist and snug right round the neck of the pin. So now that pin is still loose, so if I do the same thing, twist and pull with my right thumb, that's still kind of slack, but if you just practice a little and work at it, twist and pull, this pin will become really secure, like here. That's really snug. So if I tip it upside down, that's not going to come out. So I know that the diameter of the hole there is obviously the same diameter as the pin. So I'm keeping my left thumb and finger still, completely still. I'm just pinching slightly. And with my my right thumb and middle finger, twist and pull slightly, twist and pull slightly. Keep testing the pin so it feels kind of snug, and then you've done it. So when you're happy with that your pin's nice and snug in the end, that's fantastic. That's not going anywhere. Get a little bit of tape, just a tiny square of tape. Put it on the V of cello that's sticking out. Do the same thing, twist and pull, but let the cone in these fingers slip round slightly, so it's turning. If you watch the pattern on the cello, you can see. So the whole thing is turning, and while it does that, your fingers are pressing the tape down onto the cone. There. And then what I like to do is where the join of the cello goes around the twist of the cone, I'll then go along and tape that. Some people don't do it. I like to do it just for a bit of superior hold and less leakage. But that pin is really nicely snug. Not so tight you can't get it out, but it's really nicely snug, so it's ready to go. So when I take that out, I hope I can focus on it. Don't know if you'll be able to see. No, I don't think I can focus, but the hole in there is consistent with the pin every single time, which is how I get these fine lines here. Obviously, if you need the thicker line like here, you press firmer on the cone and it will just give you a thicker line, but the thin ones are so fine it just pours out of the end with no pressure. That is how I roll my cones with a pin. Any questions? Just ask. I'll be pleased to help you. This is Hayley from the Henna Goddess in York. Thanks, bye.